By the time I reached the restaurant, everyone inside had already been taught to be afraid of me. Marissa had done it without raising her voice. No bruises. No broken dishes. No police lights flashing against our quiet street. Only the right words, said to the right people, in the right room. Controlling. Unpredictable. Unsafe. Words people were afraid not to believe. I stood under the green awning while rain dripped from the edge onto my jacket sleeve, reading her text for the 4th time. Please be kind tonight. My parents are scared enough. Scared of what? I wanted to ask. Instead, my thumb moved toward the reply I had typed so many times in our marriage that my phone almost knew it before I did. I'm sorry. I'll try. Before I could send it, Leah Mercer stepped between me and the restaurant door. She was Marissa's best friend, which meant she should have been inside holding my wife's hand, not outside blocking mine. Don't apologize, Leah said. I almost laughed because it sounded impossible. Apologizing was how I kept rooms from catching fire. Leah reached into her purse and took out an old phone with a pink case, the kind Marissa used to borrow when hers died at parties. This isn't about tonight, Leah said. She's been building tonight for months. What are you talking about? She held the phone out, but not close enough for me to take it. Once you hear what's on this phone, she said, you don't get to keep pretending silence is protecting you. Through the restaurant window, Marissa saw us. Her smile stayed in place for 1 second too long. Then her face changed. Leah's fingers tightened around the phone. Inside, my brother Paul stood up as if he had been waiting for a signal. The phone buzzed in Leah's hand. A new message from Marissa appeared on the cracked screen. Do not give him that. Leah turned the screen toward her chest. The rain tapped harder on the awning. Behind the glass, Marissa said something to the table, and 6 faces shifted toward the window. Her father's hand went to the back of his chair. Her mother pressed a napkin to her mouth. Paul moved between 2 tables with the awkward speed of a man trying not to hurry. Leah, I said, what is on that phone? She stepped closer so the rain would not hit the cracked screen. There's a voice memo, she said. Marissa recorded it on this old phone. I thought it was an accident. You thought? Leah flinched. Not because I was loud. Because the question was fair. I heard part of it last week. Last week. I turned toward the window again. Marissa had not come outside. Not yet. She was watching me the way someone watches a locked door after hearing the key turn. Why didn't you tell me? Leah looked down at the phone. Because I told myself it wasn't my place. Inside, Paul reached the front hall. He saw me through the glass and lifted one hand in a small, careful wave. The kind people use with dogs they are not sure will bite. Leah pressed play. Marissa's voice came from the speaker. If he stays calm, call it cold. If he gets upset, call it unsafe. Either way, don't argue details. Details make people think. Feelings move faster. A car passed behind us, tires hissing through the wet street. Then another voice spoke, a woman I did not recognize. And Paul? Paul will want to believe Daniel, Marissa said. That's why I need him there. If Paul starts doubting him in front of everyone, Daniel will fold. The memo clicked off. My hand had gone numb around my own phone. The apology was still sitting unsent on the screen. I'm sorry. I'll try. 4 words. Small enough to fit in a text. Large enough to become a confession in the wrong hands. Leah lowered the old phone. There's more, she said. Texts. Dates. A transfer I don't understand. A transfer? Her eyes moved toward the restaurant window. Tonight is supposed to be a healing dinner. That's what she told everyone. But people don't invite an audience to heal. They invite an audience to win. The door opened before I could answer. Paul stepped out into the wet cold with his collar turned up and concern arranged across his face. Dan, he said. Hey. You okay? It was a strange question to ask a man standing outside a room where people had gathered to discuss whether he was dangerous. I'm not sure yet, I said. Paul's eyes moved to Leah. Then to the old phone. Marissa appeared behind him in the doorway. Daniel, she said. Can we not do this outside? Paul touched the doorframe. Maybe we should all go in and sit down, he said. I could feel the old version of myself reaching for the easiest tool. Sure. Sorry. I didn't mean to make this uncomfortable. My thumb moved over the screen. Then, Leah's voice came quietly from my side. Don't give her your first sentence. Marissa heard it. Her eyes sharpened. Leah, she said, almost smiling, you're confused. No, Leah said. I was confused last week. Paul frowned. What happened last week? Marissa took one step outside. The green awning shadowed her face, but I could see the pulse moving in her throat. Daniel, she said, this is exactly what I was afraid of. You're standing outside with my best friend, making everyone wait, and now I'm supposed to explain why that feels wrong? There it was. A whole accusation built out of posture, weather, and timing. The apology on my phone dimmed, then vanished. My reflection replaced it. Wet hair. Tired eyes. A man waiting for permission to stop being easy to accuse. I locked the screen. I'm not going in yet, I said. Marissa blinked. Paul looked at me as if I had answered in a language he did not know. Leah did not move closer. She did not touch my arm. She only held the old pink phone between us like evidence and a warning. Marissa's voice lowered. Daniel, my parents are inside. I know. They are scared. I heard. Then please don't make it worse. The phrase settled over me with a familiar weight. Worse had always meant louder. Worse had always meant inconvenient. Worse had always meant anything other than me absorbing the damage quietly. I looked through the window at the table waiting behind her. Plates. Water glasses. Folded napkins. 6 people ready to watch my reaction and decide what kind of man it made me. Leah turned the old phone in her hand. What do you want to do? She asked. Not what should I do. Not what would calm everyone down. What do you want to do? The question felt too simple to hold. I reached for the pink phone. Leah hesitated, then placed it in my palm. The case was warm from her hand. The crack across the screen ran through Marissa's last message like a fault line. Do not give him that. For once, I did not ask permission to know something about my own life. I slipped the phone into my jacket pocket. Then I turned to my wife, my brother, and the restaurant full of people who had been taught to fear me. I'll come in, I said. But I'm not apologizing for a story I didn't write. Marissa's face did not fall apart. She was too practiced for that. But her smile arrived late. And that was the first crack. The first thing Marissa did when I stepped into the private dining room was make room for me at the table like I was late to my own intervention. Not a trial. Not an ambush. Nothing so honest. She touched the empty chair beside her and gave everyone a small, grateful smile. He came, she said. Her mother exhaled as if I had crossed a bridge with a weapon and chosen not to use it. Her father, Howard, sat with both hands flat beside his water glass. My brother Paul stayed near the wall in his rain-dark coat, trying to decide whether he belonged beside me or across from me. Leah entered last. She did not sit next to me. She chose the chair closest to the door, the old pink phone hidden inside her purse. That distance mattered. It told me she understood something Marissa would have used against us. A server came in with bread. Nobody touched it. Marissa folded her napkin in her lap. I know this feels strange, she said. Strange was a generous word for 6 people watching my face as if it might confirm something they had already been told. Elaine, Marissa's mother, reached for her hand. We just want tonight to be calm. Calm. That word had followed me my entire life. When I was 9, my father put his fist through the pantry door because my mother bought the wrong coffee. I remember the wood splitting around his knuckles and my mother standing perfectly still with a dish towel in both hands. I stepped over the broken panel and picked up the coffee can. It's okay, I said. Though no one had asked me. By 12, I knew how to answer a question before it became an accusation. By 14, I could make my voice so even that adults called me mature when I was only avoiding a target. Calm kept dinner on the table. Calm became the closest thing I had to virtue. So when Marissa and I fought in our early years, I did what I knew. I lowered my voice. I apologized first. I agreed to talk later. I let her describe my patience as distance and my exhaustion as punishment because correcting her felt like adding heat to a room already smoking. The server poured water into my glass. My hand moved automatically to straighten the fork beside the plate. Leah noticed. Across the table, her fingers paused on the zipper of her purse. Marissa noticed too, but differently. Daniel, she said gently, you don't have to perform being fine. It was a beautiful sentence. Soft enough to sound caring, sharp enough to cut. Paul's eyes shifted toward me. I set the fork down. I'm not performing. Marissa gave a tired smile to the room, not to me. That's what makes this hard. You always sound reasonable. Howard cleared his throat. Son, nobody is here to attack you. The word son landed wrong. Howard had never called me that unless other people were listening. I didn't say anyone was, I answered. Elaine leaned forward. Marissa told us you've been under stress. My contracting business had been under stress. Jobs delayed by weather. A client blaming me for cabinets she changed twice. A supplier raising prices without warning. Normal pressure. Adult pressure. The kind that made a man tired, not dangerous, but I could see how the pieces had been arranged. Stress. Quiet. Keeps financial documents in his office. Checks the locks at night. A careful husband could be made to resemble a controlling one if someone explained him in the right order. Marissa placed one hand over her chest. I didn't want to involve everyone, she said. But when someone makes you feel like you can't speak freely in your own home, you start needing witnesses. Leah's chair scraped half an inch back. Not enough to interrupt. Enough for me to hear. My phone rested face down beside my plate. Under the table, my thumb found the edge of it. The old apology had not been sent, but another one waited in my body. I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry this got so big. I'm sorry I made everyone uncomfortable. The words lined up like obedient children. Then my knee bumped the leg of the chair and the old pink phone pressed against my ribs inside my jacket pocket. Friday before he gets home. Marissa continued. I asked Daniel here tonight because I still believe he can hear me if other people help hold the space. Hold the space. That was new. She must have learned it from someone who charged by the hour. Paul finally sat beside me. He did not lean close. Dan, he said quietly, maybe just listen first. I wanted to be angry at him. It would have been easier. But Paul had survived our childhood by trusting the person who sounded wounded first. Wounded people were easier to protect than quiet ones. I'm listening, I said. Marissa's fingers tightened around Elaine's hand. I need you to acknowledge that your behavior has made me feel unsafe. There it was. The impossible line. Nothing specific enough to answer. Only a sentence shaped like a door that locked behind me. If I said yes, I became the man she had described. If I said no, I proved I cared more about defending myself than hearing her pain. The table waited. Water ran down the outside of my glass and gathered in a ring on the white cloth. Without thinking, I reached for my napkin to blot it. Daniel. Leah said my name once. Not loud. Not intimate. Just enough. My hand stopped over the napkin. She had seen it. The small surrender. The need to clean the table before anyone could accuse me of making a mess. Marissa turned toward her. Leah, please. Leah kept her eyes on the water ring. Let him answer the question that was asked, not the one you buried inside it. The room changed temperature. Howard sat back. Elaine's mouth tightened. Paul's hand froze near his glass. Marissa smiled carefully. I'm sorry, she said. Are you advising my husband now? No, Leah said. I'm asking that he be allowed to answer without being trapped. The word trapped did what the voice memo had done outside. It gave a shape to the thing I had been feeling for years. Marissa gave a small laugh, but the sound had no breath in it. This is exactly what I was afraid of, she said. He gets someone else to speak for him. Leah's face shut down. She had stepped too far, and Marissa knew it. My old self reached for the cleanest rescue. I almost said, she's not speaking for me. I'm sorry. Let's start over. Instead, I placed both hands flat on the table. She's not speaking for me, I said. And I'm not acknowledging a word that means whatever you need it to mean. Paul turned his head. Marisa did not blink. I could hear the restaurant outside our private room. Forks on plates, a birthday song near the bar, ordinary dinners while mine became evidence. If there is something specific you want to say I did, say it. If there is something specific you want me to answer for, name it. But I'm not going to confess to a feeling you prepared people to have before I arrived. For a second, nobody moved. Then Marissa picked up her water glass. Her hand was steady. Too steady. Leah's purse gave a faint buzz against her chair. A message. She did not check it. But Marissa did. Her eyes flicked to the bag before returning to me. The old wound was not only that I apologized too quickly, it was that I had spent my life believing calm would save me from becoming my father. Marissa had learned to use that belief as a leash. Tonight, for the first time, I had not pulled against it. I had set it down. All right, Marissa said softly. Then let's be specific. She reached beneath her chair and lifted a cream-colored folder onto the table. Of course, she had a folder. Not a messy pile of hurt. Not a trembling list written after a sleepless night. A folder with tabs. Elaine closed her eyes, as if the folder itself confirmed something painful. Howard gave one slow nod. Paul shifted beside me, the chair creaking under him. Marissa opened the first flap and took out a printed sheet. I made notes because I knew Daniel would ask for examples, she said. He always makes things sound smaller when they're spoken out loud. My hand stayed on the edge of the table. Read one, I said. The sentence came out plain enough that Paul's shoulders eased a fraction. Marissa's mouth tightened. Finances, she said. You keep the household accounts under your login. You review every charge. You questioned me about a hotel transaction in May. A hotel transaction? Paul asked. Marissa gave him a sad look, the kind that invited him to feel sorry before he understood. I told him it was for work. I remembered May. A charge for $420 at the Ashbury Hotel. I had asked because we were trying to pay the property tax, and the card had nearly hit its limit. Marissa had said a coworker made the booking on the wrong card. I believed her because believing her was easier than asking the second question. You said it was a mistake, I said. And you made me explain it like I was a child. No, I said. I asked what the charge was. That is how it starts, Elaine whispered. There were sentences a man could answer and still lose. Leah's purse buzzed again against her chair leg. This time, she took out her own phone. Her face changed only a little, but I saw her thumb stop moving. Marissa saw it too. Leah, she said, if you need to leave, no one will blame you. That was generous of her. Offering Leah an exit from the trap Marissa had built. Leah placed her phone face down on the table. I'm staying. Marissa turned back to me. You also removed my access to the emergency savings. I didn't remove anything. The account required your approval. Because it's a joint account that needs 2 signatures for large transfers. We set it up that way together after your mother's roof repair. Howard's eyebrows pulled together. He remembered that. He had been the reason for it. Marissa slid another sheet forward. Then explain this. It was a printout from our bank. A transfer request dated 3 days earlier. $18,000 from emergency savings to a personal account ending in 4,421. Denied. Paul leaned over the paper. You blocked it? I didn't know about it, I said. Marissa laughed once under her breath. Exactly. I could feel the old engine start inside me. The need to fix the misunderstanding before it became my shape. Then the pink phone pressed against my ribs when I breathed in. I took it from my jacket pocket and set it on the table. Nobody spoke. The cracked screen lit up when my thumb brushed it. Marissa's last text sat there, sharp as broken glass. Do not give him that. Paul read it before Marissa could reach for the phone. His face lost color. What is that? He asked. Marissa did not move her hand back fast enough. That phone is mine, she said. No, Leah said. It's mine. You left it in my car after Nora's birthday. Marissa's eyes went to Leah. That was not anger first. It was warning. I opened the voice memo list. My thumb hovered over the file Leah had played outside. Friday before he gets home. Marissa said, "Daniel, do not turn this into surveillance." I almost admired how fast she found a new word. Surveillance sounded uglier than evidence. Colder. More dangerous. A husband with proof could become a husband who watched. "I'm not turning it into anything," I said. "I'm playing what you tried to stop Leah from giving me." Howard pushed his chair back an inch. "Maybe we should all slow down." "No," Marissa said, too quickly. The word struck the table harder than she intended. Leah's chin lifted. Paul noticed. I pressed play. The first part was the same. Marissa's calm voice, rehearsing how to describe me. If he stays calm, call it cold. If he gets upset, call it unsafe. Either way, don't argue details. Details make people think. Feelings move faster. Elaine's hand went to her throat. The other woman's voice followed. "And the money?" Marissa answered with a little sigh, impatient and familiar. "I'll request the transfer before dinner. If he blocks it, I say he financially trapped me. If he approves it, I have the retainer covered before he understands what's happening." The memo continued for 3 more seconds. Then came the part that hurt more than the money. "He hates being compared to his father. Don't say it directly. Just let Paul get there." The file ended. A server knocked once and opened the door with a tray of salads. Nobody moved. He stood there, smiling politely into the wreckage. Marissa recovered first. "Not now," she said. The server backed out and closed the door. Paul's hands were under the table now. I knew because his shoulders had gone stiff in the way men stiffen when they are hiding what their fists are doing. "You told someone about Dad?" he asked. Marissa softened immediately. "Paul, I was scared." "No," he said. "You told someone how to use him." It was the first sentence anyone at the table had said that did not require me to defend myself. It should have felt like relief. Instead, it felt like standing in a house after finding one wall rotten and realizing the others might be worse. Marissa reached for Paul's arm. He moved it away. Her eyes flicked to me, then to Leah, then to the pink phone. "You all heard a piece of something without context," she said. "A private conversation taken from an old device I never agreed to share. You texted Leah not to give it to me," I said, "because I knew what you would do with it." "What was I going to do?" "Exactly this." She gestured around the table. "Humiliate me in front of my parents." The word humiliate did what she wanted it to do. Elaine began to cry. Howard put his hand on his wife's shoulder and stared at me as if the proof had become another weapon in my hand. Leah stood slowly. "Marissa," she said, "you sent me a message 6 minutes ago telling me not to give him the phone. That means you knew what was on it." Marissa's face tightened. Leah unlocked her phone and slid it toward the center of the table. On the screen was the message thread. "Do not give him that." Above it, "Sent the night before. If Daniel pushes back, remind Paul about their father. He'll understand fear better than facts." My mouth went dry. Paul read it twice. This time, when he stood, his chair hit the wall behind him. "Why would you write that to Leah?" he asked. Marissa's answer came a beat late. "Because Leah was worried about him too." Leah closed her eyes. There it was. The second hook inside the first wound. Paul turned to Leah. "Were you?" Leah did not reach for me. She did not defend herself quickly. That made the answer worse. "I was worried," she said. "But not the way she means." Marissa seized it. "You see?" she said, tears finally arriving. Even Leah saw it. The table shifted again. Not fully back to Marissa, but enough. Enough to remind me that truth did not end a story the moment it appeared. Sometimes it only gave people a new thing to argue over. My phone vibrated beside my plate. A bank alert filled the screen. "Transfer approved, $18,000 from emergency savings to G. Solis Legal Trust." I had not approved anything. Across from me, Marissa stopped crying. Just for half a second. But I saw it. So did Leah. The alert stayed on my screen long after the sound died. I read it once. Then again, slower, as if a second reading might turn approved into denied. Paul was still standing with his chair against the wall. Elaine had stopped crying. Howard's hand remained on his wife's shoulder, but his eyes had moved to my phone. Marissa dabbed beneath one eye with the corner of her napkin. That, she said, voice shaking just enough, is exactly why I was afraid to have this conversation alone. No one answered. She let the sentence sit there and become furniture. I turned the phone toward Paul. I didn't approve this. Marissa gave a small, wounded laugh. Daniel, please don't start doing that. Doing what? Making everything sound like a conspiracy because you're upset. The word upset was careful. It gave everyone permission to watch my hands. So I placed my phone flat on the table and moved both hands away from it. Paul noticed. His face tightened. Leah noticed too. Her hand went to the zipper of her purse, where the pink phone had returned after I played the memo. She wanted to pull it out again. I could see the motion beginning in her wrist. Marissa saw it before I did. Leah, she said, if you play one more stolen recording in front of my parents, I need you to understand what you're doing. Leah's hand stopped. Marissa's voice broke around the next sentence. You are helping him make me feel unsafe in public. Unsafe. There it was again. Not as a fear. As a tool. A waiter passed outside the frosted glass door, slowed, then kept walking. The birthday song near the bar had ended. Ordinary noise pressed against the private dining room like water against a cracked window. Paul rubbed one hand over his mouth. Marissa, he said, the message about Dad. I was trying to explain patterns, she said quickly. I was trying to help people understand why I didn't feel safe dismissing my instincts. That isn't what the recording said. It is when you know the context. Howard leaned forward. What context? Marissa turned to him as if grateful someone had finally asked the correct question. The context is years of being managed, she said. Years of Daniel deciding what counts as reasonable and what counts as emotional. Years of me having to prove that my fear is allowed to exist. The sentence was polished. Too polished. Elaine reached for her daughter's hand again. And just like that, the table began to tilt. I could feel it happening. Proof had entered the room, but Marissa still knew how to hold the pain in her voice until people preferred it over facts. Leah pushed her chair back. Marissa, stop. Marissa turned on her. No, you don't get to do that now. Leah's face went still. You called me crying after the Memorial Day barbecue, Marissa said. Tell them what you said. Leah did not answer. Paul's head moved toward her. What did you say? Leah's fingers curled against the edge of the table. Marissa wiped her cheek again, though there were no fresh tears there. You said Daniel scared you when he got quiet. The words landed badly. Not because they were loud. Because Leah did not deny them fast enough. My chest tightened around the old phone in my pocket, around the money alert, around every careful breath I had taken in this marriage. Leah spoke without looking at me. I said he seemed shut down. Marissa leaned forward. No, you said it made you nervous. I said I didn't know what was happening between you two, but you were worried. Leah's jaw worked once. Yes. Elaine made a soft sound. Howard sat back. Paul stared at Leah as if someone had pulled a board from the floor beneath him. Marissa folded that small yes into her lap like a gift. Thank you, she whispered. Leah stood. Don't thank me. You're twisting it. Marissa stood too. The chair legs scraped hard enough that people outside the private room turned toward the sound. I am not twisting anything, Marissa said. I am trying to survive a room where my husband has brought my best friend in as evidence against me. I brought myself, Leah said. After keeping my private property. You left the phone in my car. And instead of returning it, you listened. Leah's mouth opened. Closed. That was the trap. If she defended herself, she had to admit she had waited. If she stayed quiet, Marissa could use the quiet. I knew that shape too well. Marissa stepped away from the table and opened the private room door. Warm restaurant noise rushed in. A woman at the nearest table turned around with a fork halfway to her mouth. The bartender glanced over. The waiter with the salad tray froze near the service station. Marissa, I said. I did not say it loudly. She flinched anyway. A perfect flinch. People saw that, not my volume. Paul moved between us by instinct. Dan, he said, palms low, just stay there. The public wound opened right there. My own brother, standing between me and my wife in front of strangers. Not because I had moved toward her. Because he had been taught to be ready. Marissa stepped into the hallway outside the room. I need air, she said, but she said it to the restaurant. Not to us. Nora Bell arrived at the hostess stand at exactly the wrong time, or exactly the right one if Marissa had planned it. Nora was one of those friends who called herself neutral 5 minutes before choosing the person crying. She saw Marissa. Then me. Then Paul blocking half the doorway. Oh my God, Nora said. What happened? Marissa covered her mouth. I could have answered. I could have said there was a transfer, a recording, a message telling Leah not to give me the phone. But the whole restaurant had become a witness stand, and every sentence from me would sound like cross-examination. My apology rose again. Not because I meant it, but because it was the old door out. Sorry, this got out of hand. Sorry. We should leave. Sorry. I didn't mean to scare anyone. The words reached my tongue. Leah's hand touched the back of her own chair, not mine. She stayed where she was. Daniel, she said quietly, say what's true, not what's useful. Marissa heard her. So now you coach him, she said. Nora's eyes sharpened. Paul turned toward Leah. Maybe don't. That was all it took. Leah went silent. I could see the cost of it on her face. She had tried to stand beside the truth. And Marissa had made her look like the reason I had one. Nora moved closer to Marissa. Do you want me to call someone? No, Marissa said softly. I just need everyone to see that I tried to do this safely. Safely. Another word people were afraid to challenge. My phone vibrated again on the table. Paul picked it up before I could. Not to steal it. To stop it from lighting up where everyone could see. But the screen had already shown the notification. Nora Bell tagged you in Wedding Friends. A photo loaded beneath it. Me in the doorway of the private room. Paul between us. Marissa with one hand over her mouth. Leah standing behind me. Caption. This is why she was scared to meet him alone. The image had been posted 17 seconds ago. By someone in the restaurant. Or someone Marissa had asked to be there. Paul lowered the phone slowly. Outside the room, Nora's expression changed from concern to certainty. And in the space between one breath and the next, I watched the version of me Marissa had written leave the table and enter the world. Leah did not follow me when I walked out of the restaurant. That was the first decent thing she did after the room broke open. She stayed behind long enough to answer Paul's questions, long enough to keep Nora from touching the pink phone, long enough to make sure Marissa could not say I had stormed out with evidence I had stolen. I heard none of it clearly. Rain hit the awning in hard silver lines. My truck sat across the street with the driver's window reflecting a man I did not want to recognize. My phone kept vibrating. Wedding Friends. Nora Bell. I don't want to take sides, but I saw enough tonight. Howard Klein. Please everyone give Marissa privacy. Unknown number. You should be ashamed. The old pink phone sat in my jacket pocket like a second heartbeat. 10 minutes later, Leah came outside carrying my coat from the back of my chair. She did not ask if I was all right. That question had become useless. You can make copies at my place, she said. Not because I think you should trust me. Because you should not keep the only copy in your pocket while she knows you have it. That was practical enough to let me accept. Her apartment was 15 minutes away, above a closed bakery with a narrow staircase that smelled faintly of yeast and floor cleaner. She unlocked the door, stepped aside, and let me enter first. Not intimate. Not inviting. Just careful. The kitchen was small enough that 2 people had to negotiate every movement. A chipped blue mug sat upside down near the sink. A stack of mail leaned against a toaster. One plant on the windowsill had gone brown at the edges but was still alive. Leah pointed to the table. Sit wherever you want. I chose the chair facing the door. She noticed. She did not comment. She put water in a kettle, took out a clean towel, and set it beside my hand. I did not realize rain was dripping from my hair onto the table until the towel touched my knuckles. Coffee? She asked. No sugar. I know. The answer landed too softly. She turned away before I could decide what to do with it. A minute later, she placed a black coffee in front of me and kept her own mug on the counter, leaving the chair across from me empty. The space between us did more than any speech could have. I took the pink phone from my pocket. Leah brought a cable, plugged it into her laptop, and copied the voice memo into 3 folders. Evidence. Backup. Paul. When the files finished transferring, she slid the laptop toward me. Check them. I did. The waveform appeared on the screen. Marissa's voice turned into blue peaks and valleys. A marriage reduced to shape. My hands rested on either side of the trackpad. I used to think if I never sounded angry, nobody could accuse me of being like him. Leah did not ask who. My father could make the whole house rearrange itself around his mood. I said. Plates got quieter. Doors closed softer. My mother smiled differently. Paul became funny. I became useful. Steam rose from the coffee and disappeared under the cabinet light. I thought being calm meant I was safe, I said. Marissa figured out it meant I was easy to frame. Leah's hand tightened around her mug. I'm sorry. Don't. She set the mug down. I mean it. I know. But I can't use apologies right now. They all sound like doors closing. That hurt her. Her face just lost a little warmth. Leah came to the table but did not sit. I need to tell you something before you decide I'm one of the good people in this story. The sentence did what the voice memo had done outside the restaurant. It changed the size of the room. What? She pulled out the chair across from me. After the Memorial Day barbecue, Marissa called me from the Ashbury Hotel. The hotel charge. The one I had asked about in May. Leah kept going before courage could leak out of her. She said she needed me to say she had been with me if anyone asked. She said it was complicated. She said you were watching every move she made, and she just needed one night where she could breathe. The coffee turned bitter before I drank it. You told me she was with you. Yes. When I asked you directly. Yes. The second yes was the worst because it was clean. Leah's eyes reddened, but no tears fell. She knew tears would make it too easy for me to comfort her. I told myself it was harmless, she said. I told myself marriages have corners friends shouldn't walk into, and part of me wanted to believe her because if she was lying, then I had been standing next to something ugly for years and calling it loyalty. Was Grant Solis there? She closed her eyes once. I saw him in the lobby when I dropped off her scarf the next morning. The lawyer. I didn't know he was her lawyer then. But you knew he wasn't her coworker. Leah's mouth opened, then shut. That answer was enough. I stood too quickly. The chair bumped the wall. Leah rose as well, then stopped herself from coming closer. Good. One of us had to remember distance. You let me walk into tonight knowing she had lied about that hotel. I didn't know about the transfer. I didn't know she would use your father. I didn't know about the post. But you knew she was building something. The rain filled the space between us. Leah nodded. I saw it earlier than I admitted. The sentence was small. It also took away the cleanest version of her. I picked up my phone. 29 unread messages. My brother's name near the top, my wife's name beneath it. Daniel, please come home, so we can stop this from getting uglier. Home. The word had never looked less like a place. Leah folded her arms, not defensively, but like she was keeping herself from reaching for me. I should have told you before tonight, she said. I didn't because I was afraid of losing my oldest friend, and because part of me was ashamed that I had already helped her once. Anger would have been simple if she had made excuses. She did not. That made it heavier. You don't get to be the person who saves me from the lie you helped keep alive. I know, and I don't get to turn you into shelter because I don't want to go home. Her breath caught. There it was. The thing neither of us had said. Not love. Not yet. Not even close. But the shape of wanting to step toward the only person in the night who had not asked me to become smaller. Leah's hand rested on the back of the chair. If anything ever happens between us, she said, voice low, it cannot start in the wreckage she made. I was going to say that. No, she said. You were going to say it nicer. Despite everything, a tired breath left me that almost became a laugh. It died before reaching my mouth. Leah picked up the towel from the table and folded it once, then again. I'll send Paul the copy if you want, she said. Or I can leave it for you to send. Your choice. My choice. The words felt unfamiliar in her kitchen. I sat down again, not because I forgave her, but because standing had started to feel like running. Leave it, I said. I'll send it. Leah nodded and moved away from the laptop. My phone buzzed once more. This time, it was not the group chat. It was an email from Grant Solis. Subject: Notice regarding residence and marital assets. I read the subject twice. Leah did not ask what it said. She saw my hand close around the phone and knew the night had found a new way to take something. The email from Grant Solis was only 7 lines long. It did not need more. Mr. Hayes, effective immediately, you are advised not to return to the marital residence without prior written arrangement. Any unannounced appearance may be treated as harassment or intimidation. Please direct all communication regarding residence, assets, and future access through counsel. Counsel. Leah read the first line from where she stood near the sink. She did not step closer. The kettle clicked as it cooled. Print it, I said. She nodded and opened the laptop. The printer in the corner woke with a tired grind. Paper slid out 1 page at a time, warm and faintly curled. Leah placed the email beside the copies of the voice memo file, then moved her hands away as if the papers belonged to a crime scene. You should call a lawyer in the morning, she said. I should do a lot of things in the morning. My voice came out sharper than I meant. Leah accepted it without making herself small. Yes, she said. You should. That helped more than comfort would have. My house key sat on her table in the little tray where she had told me to empty my pockets. Brass key. Black truck fob. 2 quarters. A folded receipt from a lumber yard. Ordinary things that still thought I had somewhere to go. I picked up the key. Leah watched my hand close around it. You can't go there tonight. I know. You said that too fast. I set the key down again. The metal hit the dish with a small, ugly sound. My work boots are there. My medication is there. My laptop bag is in the office. The blue folder with the Carter invoices is on my desk. Can Paul get them? Paul stood between me and my wife because he thought I might scare her. He also heard the recording. He heard part of it. My phone buzzed before she could answer. Paul. I let it ring twice, then picked up. Dan, he said. Wind hit the speaker. He was outside somewhere. Are you with Leah? The question had too many rooms inside it. I'm at her apartment, copying the file. Pause. Okay. Say what you're thinking. I'm thinking Marissa is telling people you left with Leah. Leah turned away from the table. Not because she had done anything wrong in that moment. Because the story was already faster than the truth. I'm not staying here, I said. Paul exhaled. Good. The word stung, but it was honest. I can get you a hotel, he said. Or maybe my place, if Lisa's okay. His hesitation answered before he did. She saw the post, he said. She doesn't know what to think. Tell her I'm not coming, I said. I'm answering before the story gets there. Leah's printer released the last page. Paul's voice dropped. I can meet you at the house tomorrow. We'll get your stuff with someone there. Not tonight. Not tonight, I repeated. The words were not only about the house. Leah heard that too. After we hung up, she gathered the papers into 3 stacks. 1 for me. 1 for Paul. 1 sealed in an envelope she wrote backup on with a black marker. Her handwriting was square and firm. I have a couch, she said. No. I know. Then why say it? Because offering shelter is not the same as asking you to use me as one. The sentence should have made things easier. It did not. The small kitchen held the smell of black coffee, wet wool, and warm printer ink. Leah stood on one side of the table. I stood on the other. Between us were a voice memo, a legal notice, and the part of my life where my wife still had my last name. "I can't stay here," I said. "Good." The same word Paul had used. From Leah, it meant something different. She took a breath. "If you stay, she gets to write that part too." "And if I want to stay?" Leah's face changed. "Not much." "Enough." "Then you still leave," she said. Wanting something doesn't make it clean. There was nothing soft about the line. That was why it held. I booked a room at the Harbor Inn near the highway. When I entered my personal card, the screen spun and declined. I tried again. Declined. Leah did not pretend not to see. The business card worked. A receipt arrived in my email. 1 queen bed. Non-smoking. $118.74. Leah printed that too. "Paper trail," she said. I folded it into my wallet. Another text came in. Denise Kauter. "Daniel, I saw some troubling posts tonight. I think we should pause the kitchen project until your personal situation settles. I hope you understand. The Carter kitchen was 3 weeks of work. Cabinets already ordered. 2 subcontractors scheduled. A deposit spent on materials." I read the text twice, then set the phone down before my hand could answer the old way. "Of course, I understand. Sorry for the trouble." Leah watched the unsent words move across my face. "Do not apologize for costing her comfort when you didn't cost her money," she said. "I might cost myself money. You already are." I hated that she was right. I typed slowly. "Denise, I understand your concern. I am dealing with a false public claim and a legal matter tonight. I will send a brief written update tomorrow. No job site risk is connected to your project." I stopped there. No apology. No pleading. No oversharing. Send. The message left my phone like a small object dropped into deep water. Leah took a navy rain jacket from the hook near her door and held it out. "It's ugly," she said. "But it's dry. I have a coat. Your coat is soaked." I reached for it, careful not to touch her fingers. She noticed that too. A tired corner of her mouth moved. "It's a jacket, Daniel. Not a vow." Despite myself, I breathed once through my nose. Not a laugh. Close enough. At the door, Leah handed me the backup envelope. "I'll send Paul his copy after you text me that you checked in." "No." Her hand stayed on the envelope. "I'm not asking to track you." "I know." "Then why no?" "Because if I need someone to know I'm safe tonight, I'll tell Paul, not you." Her fingers loosened. Pain crossed her face and did not stay long. "Good," she said. This time, the word cost her. I put the envelope inside the rain jacket and walked down the narrow stairs. Outside, the bakery window was dark. My truck waited at the curb, wet and ordinary, with a toolbox in the back and no clean clothes inside. Before I opened the door, my phone lit up. "Marissa, if you come home tonight, I will call the police." Under the message, 3 dots appeared. Then another text arrived. "Please don't make me afraid of you in front of everyone again." I stood in the rain with my keys in my hand and a motel receipt in my wallet. The practical cost of the truth was not dramatic. It was smaller. A locked house. A declined card. A job paused by rumor. A brother who loved me but hesitated to open his door. And a woman upstairs who offered me a dry jacket, then let me leave. I got into the truck. For once, I did not type anything back. At the Harbor Inn, the lobby smelled like bleach, vending machine coffee, and rain-soaked carpet. The man behind the counter took my business card, checked my license, and slid a plastic key across the counter with bored mercy. "Room 214. Second floor. Ice machine. No smoking." My room had 1 lamp, 1 chair, and a framed print of a sailboat pretending the highway outside was an ocean. I set the backup envelope on the desk, placed my phone beside it, and stood there with nothing to do. That was when the second crisis began. Not with Marissa screaming. With people being careful. Paul texted first. Lisa doesn't think I should come tomorrow unless there's a neutral third party. I'm sorry. Then Nora. I know you're hurting, but involving Leah was cruel. Marissa is devastated. Then Denise Carter. Until this is legally resolved, I need written assurance that no dispute will affect access to materials already purchased. The room key lay in my palm, thin and white, a temporary permission to sleep somewhere that did not know me. I typed a reply to Paul. Of course. I understand. Tell Lisa I'm sorry. My thumb hovered over send. The old reflex had found a new uniform. It no longer sounded like surrender. It sounded polite. Mature. Safe. I deleted the last sentence. Then the rest. The lamp buzzed softly. A minute later, Leah called. I almost let it ring out because wanting to hear her voice felt like a problem I had not earned the right to have. I answered anyway. You checked in? She asked. Yes. Good. You should know something. Marissa posted in the group chat. I turned it off. She posted a screenshot of my old message from Memorial Day. The message where Leah had said she was worried about me. The one Marissa had twisted at dinner. What did she write? She wrote, even my best friends saw the signs before I was brave enough to name them. And you? I replied. That scared me more than the post. What did you say? I said I had been wrong to let her use vague fear as proof. And? Nora said I was trying to rewrite history because I felt guilty. The words were aimed at Leah, but they hit me too. Guilt could make truth look suspicious. So could regret. So could standing up too late. Leah's voice lowered. Then Marissa wrote that you and I had been emotionally involved for months. There it was. The new story. Not only dangerous husband. Now unfaithful husband. Manipulative husband. Husband who had turned his wife's best friend into a weapon. That's not true, I said. I know. You know isn't the world. No, Leah said. It isn't. A knock hit my motel door. Daniel? A male voice called. It's Paul. Leah went quiet. I checked the peephole. Paul stood in the hallway with both hands visible, as if visiting his own brother now required proof of safety. Behind him stood a woman in a gray coat holding a clipboard. Who is that? Leah asked. I don't know. I opened the door with the chain still on. Paul's face folded when he saw it. The woman lifted a small badge. Mr. Hayes, I'm Andrea Cross. I'm a civil standby coordinator contracted through Solis Family Law. Your wife requested documentation of tonight's contact attempts. I haven't contacted my wife. Paul swallowed. She said you were threatening to come home. I have the text where she told me not to. Andrea's expression stayed neutral. I'm not here to determine facts. I'm here to document that you are aware any return to the residence without arrangement may escalate the matter. Escalate. Another word that made obedience sound like safety. Leah's voice came through the phone, small but sharp. Daniel, do not argue in the hallway. Paul heard her. His eyes changed. Is she on the phone? I ended the call. Not because Leah was wrong. Because I could not let Marissa make every piece of help look like control. I unhooked the chain and opened the door fully. I'm aware, I said to Andrea. Please document that I am at a motel, that I have not gone to the residence, and that I asked my brother to meet me tomorrow only for supervised retrieval of personal work items. Andrea wrote that down, gave me a card, and walked toward the elevator. Paul stayed. Why did you come? I asked. He lifted my laptop bag. Marissa left these on the porch, he said. She told me you might need them. Then she cried, because she said she was still trying to be kind. The kindness was the sharpest part. My laptop was inside. My medication too. No boots. No clean clothes. No house key. She kept the key? Paul's mouth tightened. She said returning it might confuse boundaries. A laugh came out of me wrong. Paul flinched. There it was again. My body becoming evidence before my words arrived. I put the bag on the bed. Sorry, I said. The word escaped before I could stop it. Paul's face softened with relief. That relief hurt more than his fear. He needed me apologizing because that was the version of me he knew how to love. I'm not sorry for being angry, I said. I'm sorry the sound scared you. Paul leaned against the doorframe. I don't know what to believe. Then don't believe anything yet. Just stop helping people frame questions so I can only lose. He rubbed his eyes. Lisa wants me out of this. Then go home to Lisa. You're my brother. And tonight you stood between me and a story someone else wrote. Paul did not defend himself. That was something. My phone lit up on the desk. Leah had sent one message. I won't call again tonight. You were right to hang up. Send the files yourself. Under it came a forwarded email from Denise Carter. After consideration, I'm requesting termination of our contract. Unless you can provide evidence by noon tomorrow that my deposit and materials are protected from marital claims. The practical cost had found the work. Marissa did not need to take my tools. She only needed to make people afraid my hands were no longer trustworthy. Paul read the email over my shoulder. What are you going to do? The old answer was there. I could apologize to Denise, offer a refund I could not afford, tell Marissa I would stop pushing if she stopped dragging my name through public rooms, ask Leah to stay quiet so the affair story would fade. Every quiet option had a cost. Every loud one did too. I opened my laptop on the bed. Send me your email, I said. Paul blinked. Why? Because I'm sending you the voice memo, the texts, the bank alert, the legal notice, and the motel receipt. Then I'm sending Denise a clean packet about her project account. After that, I'm calling a lawyer. Now? Now. Paul sat in the chair by the window. Dan, he said. Marissa said if you keep pushing, she'll file for emergency protection. She may. That could ruin you. I attached the first file. Staying quiet is already doing that. The sentence did not feel brave. It felt expensive. Before I hit send, another notification appeared from Wedding Friends. Marissa Hayes started a live video. The thumbnail showed her sitting in our living room, wrapped in the gray blanket from our couch. Caption: I didn't want to tell this story publicly, but I need to be safe. Paul stood so fast the chair hit the wall. On the video, Marissa looked straight into the camera and whispered my name like a bruise. I watched for 3 seconds. Then I closed the window. Not because it did not matter. Because if I let her turn my life into a performance one more time, I would spend the rest of the night answering a stage instead of building a record. I sent Paul the files. The email left my outbox at 12:17 a.m. The second crisis was no longer inside my marriage. It was in my work, my family, my friendships, and the public version of my name. By morning, the truth would not only have to be proven, it would have to survive being hated first. By 9 the next morning, Marissa's live video had been shared 43 times. By 10, Denise Carter had paused the kitchen project in writing. By 11, Grant Solis offered a solution. If I signed a temporary separation statement admitting that my controlling behavior had contributed to an unsafe home environment, Marissa would remove the video, ask people to stop posting, and allow me supervised access to the house. The PDF had 3 highlighted phrases: unsafe home environment, controlling behavior, voluntary departure. I read it in the motel lobby while Paul stood beside me holding 2 coffees neither of us wanted. Don't sign that, he said. Yesterday, he had wanted me still so nobody would be scared. Today, he wanted me to fight because he had finally seen where stillness led. I'm not signing it, I said. But I am going to the meeting. That sounds like another setup. It is. Then why go? I folded the statement into the envelope with the motel receipt. Because this time I'm not walking in without my own words. Solis Family Law sat above a pharmacy in a brick building that smelled like toner and old carpet. The conference table was too shiny. A recorder blinked red in the center. Marissa arrived wrapped in the same gray blanket from her video, though the office was warm. Elaine walked beside her. Howard carried a folder. Nora sat near the end with her phone face down. Denise Carter joined on speaker. Paul took the chair beside me. Leah came last. She did not sit near me. She sat across from Marissa, hands folded, face pale and steady. Grant Solis clicked a pen. We are here to de-escalate, he said. I placed my envelope on the table. No. We are here because your client posted a public accusation, moved marital funds into your trust account, and offered to stop damaging my name only if I signed a sentence that wasn't true. Solis's pain stopped. Marissa gave a tired smile. This is why I asked for witnesses. You asked for witnesses before I knew there was a meeting, I said. She turned to the others. He makes everything sound calculated because that's easier than hearing that I was afraid. Lie. There it was again. Not specific. Not answerable. Heavy enough to make people feel cruel for questioning it. I kept the envelope closed. I'm not here to prove you never felt afraid, I said. Feelings are real to the person having them. But feelings do not give you permission to manufacture evidence against someone else. Marissa pulled the blanket tighter. You recorded me. No, you recorded yourself. That phone was private. That message telling Leah not to give it to me stopped being private when you used the same lie in public. Solis leaned forward. Mr. Hayes, we need to be cautious with unauthorized material. Then be cautious, I said. But be accurate. I removed 3 pages from the envelope. The bank alert, the legal notice, the motel receipt. I did not go back to the house. I did not contact Marissa after she told me not to. I checked into a motel at 11:46 p.m. I paid with my business card because my personal card was declined after the emergency transfer. Denise's voice came from the laptop. Daniel, is my deposit tied to any marital account? No. Your deposit is in the Hayes Restoration business account. I sent you the statement and invoices this morning. Your cabinets are paid. Your project is not at risk unless the public claim makes you cancel. Marissa turned toward the laptop. Denise, with respect, this is not about cabinets. No, Denise said. It's about whether I was used as pressure. Nora lowered her eyes. Solis cleared his throat. Let's return to the proposed statement. I slid the highlighted PDF across the table. Who wrote this sentence? It is standard language, Solis said. Then standard language is asking me to confess to a story before facts are named. Marissa spoke softly. You keep saying story as if this is entertainment. No, I say story because you wrote roles for everyone. My voice stayed level. That was not the same as staying small. You wrote me as dangerous if I reacted and cold if I didn't. You wrote Paul as the brother who would hear our father's name and doubt me. You wrote Leah as proof because she once said she was worried. You wrote Denise as leverage because a scared client might pressure me faster than a lawyer. And you wrote yourself as someone who had no choice. Marissa's eyes filled. I didn't have a choice. You had many, you just didn't like the honest ones. Paul set his cup down too hard. Coffee spilled across the polished table. Nobody moved to clean it. Not even me. The brown line spread, slowed, and stopped before reaching the recorder. Marissa stared at it. Solis reached for a napkin. I raised one hand. Leave it. He froze. This is theatrical, Marissa said. No. This is me not cleaning up the mess while everyone decides whether I caused it. Leah's lips parted. Then closed. She kept the boundary. Solis placed both hands on the table. Mr. Hayes, are you refusing the proposed statement? Yes. Then Mrs. Hayes may pursue protective filings. She can. Elaine made a wounded sound. Howard leaned forward. Daniel, if there is any version of this where you can make peace. I made peace for 10 years, I said. It did not become truth. Marissa's face hardened. You think one copy of one recording makes you innocent? The table went still. One copy. I had not said how many copies existed. I had not mentioned the backups. Solis's eyes moved to her. Paul lifted his head. Leah's hands tightened once and went still. Marissa realized it too late. I assumed, she said. No, I said. You managed. I placed the pink phone beside the PDF and opened my laptop. The folder list filled the screen. Evidence. Backup. Paul. Denise. Counsel. I am not posting this online, I said. I am not calling you names. I am not turning your pain into content, but I will send the complete record to my attorney, to my client where my contract is affected, and to anyone you publicly involved in a false claim. Marissa whispered. You're punishing me. No. The word came easier than I expected. You don't get to call my silence consent. Nobody spoke. That was why the sentence stayed. Marissa's face folded, not into guilt, but into calculation failing faster than she could repair it. Denise spoke from the laptop. Daniel, send me the packet. I'm not canceling today. Nora picked up her phone, then seemed ashamed of needing it. I'll remove the post, she said. Remove it, I said, and write that you did not know the facts when you posted it. She swallowed. Okay. Marissa stood. The gray blanket fell onto the chair behind her. Without it, she looked less fragile. Not less hurt, just less hidden. This marriage is over, she said. Yes, I answered. She waited for me to soften it. I did not. I'm leaving because of what you did, I said. Not because of Leah, not because of revenge, not because I stopped caring overnight, because you tried to make my character the price of your exit. Leah lowered her eyes. Not in relief. In grief. Marissa gathered her purse with shaking hands. At the door, she turned back. You'll regret making everyone know. I picked up the unsigned statement and tore it once down the center. No, I said. I regret letting everyone else know before I did. Marissa left with her parents. Sola stayed seated, pen uncapped and useless. The recorder kept blinking. My name was not fixed. Not yet. But it was no longer only hers to speak. The old pink phone ended up in a cardboard evidence box in my attorney's office. Not locked away like a weapon. Not displayed like a trophy. Just labeled, sealed, and placed on a shelf beside the motel receipt, the bank alert, and the statement I had refused to sign. 3 months later, my lawyer asked if I wanted the original returned. I said no. Then I said, not yet. Because healing did not arrive as one clean decision. The divorce moved the way legal things move when both people want different versions of dignity, slowly, expensively, with too many emails beginning with phrases like pursuant to and without prejudice. Marissa did not disappear. That would have made the story too simple. She stopped posting after her attorney told her to. Some believed me. Most chose the safer comfort of believing nothing out loud. Nora deleted the restaurant photo and posted one correction. I did not know the full facts when I posted. No apology. Just enough to stop the bleeding, not enough to stitch anything closed. Paul came by my motel the week after the meeting with 2 paper bags from a diner and my work boots in his back seat. Lisa said I should have asked better questions, he said. What did you say? I said I should have too. I took the boots. They smelled like sawdust, basement dust, and the old life I had not been allowed to walk back into. We ate burgers on the motel bedspread because there was only one chair. Paul did not ask me to forgive him. I did not offer it just to make the meal easier. That was new for both of us. Hayes Restoration kept the Carter kitchen. Denise did not become my champion. She became my client again, which was better. At the job site, she stopped herself once before saying she hoped everything was settled. It isn't, I said, measuring a cabinet line. She nodded. Okay. By spring, I rented a small duplex with uneven floors and a porch light that flickered when it rained. The first night there, I placed my keys in a bowl near the door and waited for the feeling of home to show up. It didn't. Home, I learned, was not the absence of danger. Sometimes it was only the place where nobody had arranged an audience before you arrived. Leah did not come over for the first month. Not because I did not want her to. Because we had both meant what we said. If anything happened between us, it could not start in the wreckage Marissa made. So Leah stayed at the edge of my life where truth could breathe. She sent practical messages. Your lawyer asked for the backup timestamp. Sent it. Paul has the wrong file name. I corrected him. Nora is asking what to say if people ask. I told her to say less. No hearts. No late-night confessions. No pretending restraint was lack of feeling. One Saturday, she dropped off the navy rain jacket I had tried to return twice. It was folded in a paper grocery bag with a note. Keep it until you own one that actually keeps water out. A week later, I bought my own jacket and brought hers back to the bakery below her apartment. She opened the door with flour on one sleeve. I bought one, I said. Uljer? Much. That made her smile. Not the kind of smile that fixed anything. The kind that let 1 minute exist without bleeding into the next. We sat by the bakery window. Leah started to order black coffee for me, then stopped. You can order for yourself. I still take it black. I know. I just shouldn't always use knowing as proof I belong somewhere. I ordered the coffee. She ordered tea and burned her tongue because she drank too fast. The human smallness of it almost undid me. For a while, we talked about safe things. Work. The duplex. Her mother's knee surgery. Paul's terrible apology text. Then a table near the counter burst into laughter. My hand tightened around the paper cup before I understood why. Leah noticed. She did not ask what was wrong. She did not reach across the table. She only turned her chair slightly, placing her body between me and the noise without making a performance of it. That was when I knew the wound was still there. Not open the same way, but present. A scar with weather in it. I hate restaurants now, I said. I know. Don't know everything. I don't. The answer came quickly, then softer. I know that part. Rain began to fall against the bakery window, just enough to blur the street. Leah slid a small paper envelope across the table. What is that? The final backup receipt. Your attorney sent it to me by mistake. I didn't open it. Inside was a confirmation that the voice memo had been archived with the case file. File preserved. No further action required. I read the last line twice. Legally, maybe true. Emotionally, not even close. I folded the paper and put it back. You don't have to keep proving it, Leah said. No, I said, but I needed someone to prove I wasn't crazy for needing proof. She nodded. I should have done it sooner. Yes. The word sat between us. Accepted. Not erased. Leah took that without defending herself. When we left the bakery, she did not offer to walk me to my truck. I did not ask her to. At the curb, she handed me the envelope, and my fingers brushed hers for less than a second. Neither of us turned it into a beginning. Not yet. But when I reached my duplex that night, I did not play the voice memo. I did not open the case file. I placed the envelope in the top drawer of my desk, beside a tape measure, 2 pencils, and the spare key Paul had finally given back. Then I sat on the porch while rain tapped the new jacket on the chair beside me. My phone lit up once. Leah. Coffee was too strong. Muffin was terrible. Same time next Saturday? I read it twice. Not because I doubted the words. Because part of me still waited for every gentle thing to become a trap. Then I typed, "Ask me tomorrow." I waited 10 seconds. And sent another message. But probably yes. Some people do not destroy you by shouting. They do it by writing a version of you that everyone else can believe. And sometimes, the person who helps you survive is not the person who fixes your life. It is the person who finally says, "No, that is not what happened." If this story stayed with you, tell me in the comments, have you ever had to fight for the truth of your own life? And if you want more stories like this, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.